Hi guys, welcome to our first PLC meeting of the year, and I'm sorry I can't be there with you, so I decided to record this video for you since I'm supposed to be facilitating the meeting for us. So I'm going to take these first kind of 5 minutes, hopefully, to just fill you in on our PLC and what I'm going to be covering with you today and what you guys will be examining today. So I'm going to share with you some work that we did with the the grade 7 science team last year around creating meaningful end of unit assessment in science that maybe moves beyond the traditional unit test at the end of the unit and brings some kind of fun and exciting creative ways for students to show their learning. So for the PLC meeting, I'll just spend the first 5 minutes here filling you in on what it was that we did. And then I'll give you some time to examine our work and just, discuss, think about things that you may see in the work, things that you might wonder about the work. 5 minutes after that will be devoted to clarifying questions that I can always clarify for you upon my return. And then any time that remains will be on reflecting on focus questions. Okay, so the purpose of this first PLC meeting that we're going to do is we're going to look specifically at task design. So with the science department last year, we started, part of the work that Yvonne was doing with us was looking at creating open-ended questions for each of the topics in the science curriculum. So what she asked us to do in class was to give students an open-ended question, present that open-ended question somewhere where they would see it in the classroom, so that they could think about it as we were introducing and working through that particular concept. So anytime that a concept was given, I would write the open-ended question on the board. And then what I did was I kept track of these open-ended questions throughout the unit. And at the end, what we did was we put together a document that had all of these open-ended questions available to the students. And it gave students the choice to choose from these questions and to put a project together that would demonstrate their understanding, with the idea that it encouraged students to articulate their understanding, their thinking about how things worked in the real world that we had been talking about in class. And it also gave them the ability to do this in creative, imaginative ways other than just, a multiple choice test or a long answer test, right? So this was the end result for one of the projects that we put together for the Planet Earth unit. We always started off with giving them the scenario. So in this case, the scenario was that the University of Calgary's geology department was putting together a world summit, and they had invited our student to present at the summit, and they had given them a list of questions for our student, which was the expert in this particular discipline, to choose from and then to present on at the summit. Now, the first time we did this, we gave students Monday through Friday in the class for them to work on these assignments. And what we found when we gave them that much class time was that it was almost too much class time, and it allowed too much time for them to get off task. So on this particular assignment, what we did was we only gave them 2 days, 2 class periods to work. And in order to keep them on track and organized, we had them choose, or we chunked the days up for them. And then they had to work through their checklist, their daily to-do list. On the second page, we gave them the list of open-ended questions. And we played around with how many they had to choose from. I think the first time we did it, we had them choose 2. This time around, we just had them do 1, but we were expecting a little bit more information than we did in the first go round. So in this one, they had the opportunity to choose from making a Google slide presentation. They had the ability to choose from a Flipgrid presentation where they videoed themselves, like a virtual team meeting or something. They could make a brochure, they could do a documentary, they could do a podcast. And for all of these, they were working individually. They could collaborate and all of that, but the final presentation was an individual assignment. So that was kind of the setup, and I've provided for you 3 examples of some of the work that students did produce from this particular activity. There's kind of a range from some kind of minimal work to some more detailed work, I guess, so that you can have a look and see what we got out of the presentation, and that might help your discussion along as well. But that's kind of the end of the presentation portion. So from here, if I can get Brooke to just keep track of the time for us, and Allison, if you could make some notes about the discussion on the PLC protocol sheet document that I shared with you, I would appreciate that very much. So for examining the work, really you can take this discussion wherever you like. You'll have 10 minutes for examining the work. Some suggested questions maybe to get you started could be things like looking at what evidence tells you, what the evidence I've provided tells you about the student achievement, their understanding around the curricular outcomes, and the goal that was our intention here. Identifying some areas that demonstrate effectiveness. And then what links do you notice between, in this case, not the rubric, but what links do you notice between the assignment, the products, the curriculum outcomes? So I'm gonna leave you here. You can pause the video and discuss. And I'll be back once the 10 minutes are up, and you guys can talk about some questions that you might like me to clarify for you. Have fun. All right then, so you had some time to look at the evidence I left for you and the assignment sheet, as well as the curriculum outcomes that we were hoping to meet with this particular assignment. And now, based on your discussion, I'd like you to list down any questions that might still be on your minds regarding what we did as a science team, and whether you think that we're on the right track, or even if you have suggestions about you don't think that we're necessarily getting to measuring student understanding really well, or if you think it's not focused enough, but anything you think that might help us out here in terms of suggestions, you can write down for me. If there's any questions that you would like me to elaborate on as well, feel free to write those down, and I will touch base with you guys probably via email next week. But anything that came up that's points you might like to make or clarify, or anything along those lines. So I'll give you 5 minutes here. Brooke, you can start the timer, and feel free to pause the video, and then we'll meet up after the 5 minutes is over. Okay guys, welcome back. So just the last portion, and this will really take you to the end of the meeting. The last portion here is just reflecting on our focus question for the presentation. So really looking at, is it possible for us to create an open-ended task inquiry assignment that would sufficiently demonstrate student understanding in a particular unit, right? Because there's so much stuff that's covered throughout a unit. So is it possible for us to get a good understanding of where students are at just by doing a presentation like this? So I'm going to give you some time here, and this is kind of open-ended. I'll give you some time here to discuss amongst yourselves to see if you feel like this particular inquiry project did answer our focus question. And then again, Allison, you can leave any thoughts, questions, queries written in the PLC protocol, and I'll have a look at them afterwards and touch base with you guys. So feel free to pause me here, and I will see you guys next week. Have a great weekend. And again, I apologize I wasn't here with you, but I hope that this served at least to kind of get our PLC started for the school year. And I look forward to meeting with you guys and seeing what you guys came up with when I get back on Monday. Have a good weekend.